I wanted to talk to you about Miracle on the Mantelpiece, 5-star winner and very popular film.
Yes, it continues our tradition of using our daughter in a lead role. Um, we expanded on the idea. A lot of my previous films have included Elise and her friends green screened against a background that we've generally animated. It's been a fake background. This was the first time we did something with shot against real life. So I had to be a bit more careful on the lighting and that to get the colours to match, etc. And although it's a fantasy piece, it needs to look reasonably realistic. I had a bit of fun in this one in that I've got some snowmen on a Christmas card that come to life. They're animated. Very simple, very basic animation. Martine, who co-wrote the thing with me, absolutely hated it. Said, I don't want them, they cheapen it. But everyone I've spoken to has absolutely loved the snowmen. That sort of came out of an idea. I did a title sequence for the club, a little animation just using very basic shapes because I'm no artist. And so again, the snowmen, of course, just circles is made up from that and worked very well. We're very pleased with Elise's performance and her friend Tate's, the boy in it. Although they don't say anything, there's just a friendship. They work very well together, so we're chuffed with that. The idea behind the film, Martine had been on at me for about 6 months. Can't you make a film where a character comes out of a mirror? And now I'm not exactly a specialist in special effects, and I've Googled a few things, and no one does this trick. So I assume that if even the professionals don't do it, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I hit on the idea of someone coming out of a card, and initially we thought maybe a birthday card or a Valentine card. But then, of course, at Christmas, you've got lots of different cards. So that gave us lots of little opportunities for little scenarios, which we play out. I was also quite keen, after last year's film, To Eleanor, which was very well received. It was a drama, but it was based on Elise's character reading, or writing rather, a letter. And I had one comment from one person who said, oh, it's a bit wordy, it's too reliant on dialogue. And while I don't think that's the case, while I don't necessarily believe it's the case that was too reliant on dialogue, it did make me think that I wanted to make a film this year that was purely visual. And although there's some dialogue at the beginning, it's only a DJ sort of rabbiting on the radio, so it doesn't need subtitles or anything. And I think the film works perfectly well as purely visual. So far it's done quite well. It won the best entry at Froome 5-Minute Festival, so I was very pleased with that. As we know, got 5 stars at BIAFF, so I'm more than happy.
Why would you say your films are so popular? I mean, they are generally very popular.
I think they're popular because they're light entertainment, and they tend to be a bit different. Without being funny, the average age of people who are IAC members tend to be fairly senior, and most of them have got adult children, as indeed I have. But because we had Elise fairly late on in life, I have access to some slightly younger children, but they're not quite so young that it's sickly, I hope anyway. And so we're producing stuff because my cast is that much younger, that much different. By the very nature of it, we're producing films that are different because we're having to find stories that are appropriate to that sort of age. So I think it's that. The combination of real life and animated background seems to work quite well. As much credit must go to Martine as possible because she writes these things with me. Perhaps not so much this one was more 50-50 than we've done in the past, but some of the earlier films were very much Martine's writing and my directing and editing.
Right. What software do you use?
For editing, I use Vegas, which was the Sony product, but for the last couple of years has been Magic. So I use that for the actual editing, but most of the compositing, so that's the green screening and the animated backgrounds of that now, I do in Hit Film, which is not that well known, but it's by a British company called FX Home. who the key thing is it's like After Effects, but you can buy it outright. And as I say, it's a British company. They've been going for probably 10 years or so now, but only at a sort of more professional level, probably for the last 5-6 years. And so they're an up-and-coming company. Hit Film Express is free, which has a lot of the facilities. You don't have to pay for the pro version, but you can get the free version, have a play with it, and then if you like it, buy the pro version. And I'm in no way associated with the company either. That's Hit Film Express for Windows and Mac.
Very good, thank you. So in terms of getting the whole family involved in making your films, was that one of your drivers, or did it happen incidentally?
Well, that was a driver, but it didn't come from me. This stems from my first success at BIAFF, I guess, which was a family Christmas film, and that came from one of my sisters. She had seen one of her friends had put together a video, a Christmas film of her family, her extended family, lip syncing to Do They Know It's Christmas, the Feed the World thing.
I remember the film, yeah.
And so she sent it to me and said, "Can we do something like that?" And I said, "Well, if we're going to do it, we're going to sing it. We're not going to just lip sync." So we had, I think, 19 or 20 of us filming Merry Christmas Everybody. So that was the extended family. Mm-hmm. And that went down very well. It's only a family film. We keep meaning to do a follow-up, but we can't do anything we can't come up with a song that's anywhere near as good as the Slade song that we used for that. We keep promising one day, you never know, maybe next year.
What projects have you got coming up? Or would you prefer not to talk about them?
I'd love to be able to talk about them, but I don't really have any. Our biggest problem is coming up with ideas. We're very busy filmmaking all the time, doing an awful lot now of filming school productions, both for Elise's school and for drama groups that she's associated with. We're starting to become the go-to people in Walton-on-Thames for filming productions, so we get fairly busy. And of course, it's nice to make a bit of pocket money to fund the hobby. But our biggest problem is coming up with ideas on the creative side, because we're very, very fussy. As soon as we hit anything in a plot that we consider is not plausible, we'll abandon the idea and start again. Unlike a lot of films that we see, not necessarily made here, but certainly on the TV, there are so many things that have holes in the plot that you could drive a bus through and make us cringe, and we just wouldn't do it.
Right. Does Elise show any signs of wanting to make independent films herself? I mean, her own films.
She does the odd bits for school, but she's very much into the singing, acting, dancing. So she's very much into performance. So she's in local theatre groups. She's always involved in school drama, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So she loves performing.
Great. I overheard you talking earlier to someone about Miracle on the Mantelpiece, and you were being a little bit self-critical.
Yeah, it's the idea. I love the idea. I'm very pleased with the results we've got, technically the results, but if I were to fault it, I think it's very bitty. It uses music, different bits of music, to demonstrate different parts of the film, and they're the right bits of music, but as a result, I find it's a bit, I wouldn't say disjointed, but it doesn't flow quite as nicely from one scene into the next as I'd like. So I don't know what I'd do about it, because I'm not one of these people who will go back and revisit it and remake it. It's just something I'll bear in mind to keep an eye out for on the next film.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about the film that we haven't covered?
No, not really. It's a labour of love. It's an amateur movie. I keep banging on about this. I still bang on about the fact that we are amateur movie makers, and we are amateur because, in terms of, we do it for the love of it. And I think there's something very special about films, short films in particular, made for the love of it. I love these festivals. As you know, I was up at Semriac last month. Love going there, meeting people. I was saying to John Roberts earlier, I think this is the first BIAFF I've been to where I look round and I think I now know more faces than I don't know. And it's just a nice, great creative community to be part of.